And then.
So they usually people do that.
Morning, everybody.
Morning,
Cheer.
Welcome to Teviot Valley Community Board meeting, 20 March 2025. Welcome to our public speakers this morning. We've got a fairly full agenda today with the public speakers and our workshops at the end of the day. So we'll get underway. We have no apologies that I'm aware of. Does anyone got anything to raise? Okay. Public forum speakers. Got Caroline, Janet, and Pat. Caroline, I'll nominate you to be number one.
Thanks so much for inviting me over. You can sit up here if you like. Julie, is that something listening? Right. My name's Caroline Tamblin. I live at Hill Creek, just down the road. I am the representative for Central Health Incorporated, which is Dunstan Hospital. Richard Thompson's our chair, and Hayley Anderson is the CEO. Now, some of you around the table won't know what I'm talking about, and you're representing our district. So the questions I'm bringing to you today is, does that matter? Should our little volunteer group work really hard with voluntary hours and time and energy, and we've got other stuff to do this year, to try and get people to realise that they are all co-owners of all the equipment inside Dunstan Hospital? Or should we just cruise on and go ahead and put our constitution through and to see what happens? Yeah, so I'm here to ask you those questions. And everyone in the room, really, I don't know, but I know how do you want to run up your chair? That's what I've got to say.
So your question to the attendees is around their level of awareness of how Dunstan's operating.
Yep. Does everybody, is that a good place to start? Who in this room hasn't got a clue what I'm on about? Is that the level we should start at?
Dunstan's a community-owned facility.
Yeah,
Community funded.
Stuff. That doesn't interest people. What's the point is my question.
Well,
Obviously, what's tripped us up recently is I assumed community boards would know about Dunstan Hospital, and they sure didn't. Blank stares from everyone at Cromwell. So we need to get Hayley at Cromwell. She's fabulous talking to people. But there's only one Hayley.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. My level of knowledge was almost nil compared to what it should be, and so I think there is a knowledge gap there. And I was astounded to find out what you told me in terms of the structure of governance. And I guess blindly I always thought, well, they look after it without knowing who they are. And I commend you. What a great job that your organisation does, and I think it should be allowed to have a higher profile. And
So to develop that higher profile, we've had Hayley come and talk amongst the health providers in the valley, which I facilitate, or you and I facilitate. Hugely beneficial. So it would seem to me that if you had the same sort of, discussion with the largest part of the community, that would help the cause.
Which groups should, oh, like there's some really obvious ones, but, and I'm really mindful of asking our committee, how many evenings or how much time, and are there going to be very few people that turn up anyway? I don't know, just how to.
Yes, I mean, it's a difficult question to ask, because even with the things that we arrange from a community board perspective and the responses that we get out of surveys, out of public meetings, there are a limited demographic that will turn up, and it's always the same people. Identifying stakeholders is easy once they need the service, because they, that's when they take an interest. So it could be that you look at your users and you get them to spread the word for you.
You've got local body elections, so your position is an elected position that comes in with the local body elections in October.
We're planning that. All of us on our group have been unopposed for 20 years. So what a waste of money running that election.
Yeah.
And when people get their forms or their, profile, they go, what? What's that?
Yeah.
And it's in the bin.
Caroline, I think, if you want to reach people in the valley, I honestly think the best way to contact people and to make contact with people is a flyer drop. It's not something physical, it's tangible, it's in your hand, it's on the front seat of your car, it's on the breakfast bar, I'd put out a series of information, just an A4, and get it delivered. And I'm sure I'll put my hand up and help it deliver. Thank you.
At the moment, our website's woeful. So that would need to be, but no, none of us want to be on the phone for hours repeating the same conversations to individuals. So that would be a good start. Once we've got our website.
I've off it and then pick up what people you can in the district.
So, I mean, are you asking the board to help you facilitate them?
Well, our immediate problem is, all incorporated societies have to renew their constitutions this year. So that's why we're looking at how we are elected. We didn't have a plan B of how we're elected. So what one of us did at our last meeting, I said, we'll just carry on doing what we've been doing for 20 years, and that's the shoulder tapping thing. So if people get upset about that, I'm going to shoot back at them. What's your idea that I'd like to use? How are we going to do it? It still would be nice to get a couple of representatives suggested, or from we need them from each ward, obviously. But if we had a bit of a hand in finding people who are interested, because it's always pretty underwhelming how many people want to come onto that group. Yeah. So a bit of a hand would be great in an informal manner. I was naive in January when I started this, thinking that we could get community board formal help. Abandoned that idea. Our time frames are much faster than the allowed with the delegation.
If it arose.
What's right?
If it came about that.
No.
Okay. We can, I don't know where we would go to from here, but I suppose that we could consider just how we might contribute.
Just wondered, Caroline, have you approached the Institute of Directors, the local branch?
No.
I wonder if that might be worthwhile, because you've then got people who are already interested in that governance space. I just think a lot of the general public would be quite frightened at the idea of being on the board of a hospital.
They're not.
And I understand the way that the hospital is run and how that works, but I guess that might be a stepping stone for that kind of eliminating some of the shoulder tapping and asking them to tap shoulders, and whether they might like to support something like that, because they put out every month Both them and Appoint Better Boards, who are based in Wanaka, send out a flyer of who, these are the jobs that we've got available. Lots of them are voluntary roles, but people around the country are looking for governance experience, and you've already got some very experienced governors on your board. So maybe that's the way that you could start lifting up some other people who are already interested in this health space.
And use our group as a stepping stone if they want to get on the board.
Yeah.
And then also you'd get people that are really interested in wanting to be on your board versus
That know about
someone that
governance.
gets elected that
Yeah.
has to just go on it because they have to take a seat. So you get people that are really interested in that.
I can send you the context for both those groups.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I've got a tagline. How does this fit with you? For people that are totally unaware, the government has not delivered public healthcare in Central Otago for over 26 years. It's not. It's been community and private. They pulled out of Dunstan in 1989. Qualify that a little bit. The mental health unit at Dunstan get paid by Ottawa. But otherwise, it's all community.
Thanks. So Janet, you're going to be talking to us about the Roxbury Entertainment Centre.
I worry about nothing. Oosh. Thanks. Problem solved. Okay, so I'll read this because I want to get it correct. I'm here today to speak about the rebuild of the Roxbury Town Hall and Entertainment Centre. I'm aware that the Teviot Valley Community Board is having a workshop this afternoon to discuss this matter. I'm heartened to see that it is open to the public, but unfortunately it has been very poorly advertised. Everyone has fond memories and a story about the entertainment centre. After its refurbishment, I was part of the Scottish Week Teviot Tartan Time Committee. My husband Murray and I helped place the apple bins next to the supper room to create a fashion catwalk. This produced a lot of stress, as on installation and deconstruction we were under strict orders not to leave a mark anywhere. We managed to avoid this, and now years later the entertainment centre sadly no longer exists. People in the community are rightly upset that there has been very little information from Central Otago District Council about the future of the historic entertainment centre and cinema. People require transparency and meaningful communication from the CODC on this matter. It is time that the process by which a rebuild can occur is spelled out. I have attempted to find out information by speaking to other community members. The council is creating an information vacuum due to the lack of transparency and inaction in releasing information in a timely manner. How is the truth to be widely known if the council does not inform the public? A lot of fears and concerns would be allayed if correct information is successfully relayed. There is no time like the present to get the community involved via a public meeting in the evening with written information on where things are at and the requirements for going ahead. The council needs to hear the opinions of the community before making any plans. This was evident when the CODC failed to consult on the fate of the entertainment centre facade, for example. Even if you believe removing the historically significant facade was the correct thing to do, not consulting at all was the wrong thing to do. The Central Otago District Council CEO, Peter Kelly, was reported on the Central App saying that of the $6.5 million the building was insured for, that a fair amount of that would have to go towards the cleaner and the new design. This begs the question, why was the building only insured for $6.5 million in the first place? I believe that the rebuild of the community centre needs to be put in the hands of the Teviot Valley community, who will get more value for the money than the council. We have a very talented and committed community who will be able to build something for what is left of our $6.5 million after the clean-up. Already local contractors and council staff have worked together in collaboration, cutting costs of the clean-up. I believe this included some volunteer work on the part of the contractors, for which they should be thanked. It is time to empower local men and women and the local community to lead and deliver on this project, rather than relying on external organisations or council and focusing on local needs and priorities. Local community groups, business people, volunteers, people with skills both within the community and connected with the community are more than capable of taking this on and must be given the opportunity to do so. I require a written response to my presentation from the Teviot Valley Community Board and Central Otago District Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the messages that you're giving us, and yeah, there are general concerns about the, I guess, the communication around the whole devastation that the community is experiencing with the loss of the entertainment centre. It has been raised at council level. I raised it myself at the last council meeting. We are meeting this afternoon in a workshop forum with staff, I guess, to begin to better set that communication process in place. Hence, the workshop's being made available in the public space, and whether you want to view it online or be here in person, entirely up to you, people as community members. There has been, and still is, a lot of unanswered questions, dealing with insurance companies, dealing with engineers' reports, fire reports. They don't just happen overnight. So communicating accurate information has been the priority. Coming out of our staff, Gareth, Bex, Brent, Peter, have done a sterling job in looking after the community's interests. It's not just something that I can, how do I put it, that a whimsical response to such devastation can be undertaken. So we are working very hard on bringing resolve to the issue, but it is taking time.
I acknowledge everything that you've said, but what I see is a huge problem today is the only reason I knew that this meeting was on so that I could speak, and I decided to speak quite late in the process. But the problem being is that you've got this workshop today, and I have rung a few people in the community who are really concerned about this, and I'm sorry, I feel like swearing. Nobody knew what was on. I mean, it's all right it being on the website, but I mean, you need to put in every effort you can to alert people to the fact that this was going to be on, and you would have a big turnout, and then people could actually hear what was going on. It's absolutely appalling. It's absolutely appalling, and I think that the community are going to be up in arms on this, because this was an easy way for them to find out information. So I don't think that this is very good at all.
So the workshop today, as I understand it, is paving that path. It's not making decisions.
It doesn't matter. People want to hear what's going on. They could come and hear what's going on today. I'm not one of the only people that know about it, and I've informed some people about it, and I shouldn't have to be doing that. Okay?
So
it's not good enough.
We're not looking for public input today.
It doesn't matter. They can listen. That's what they want to know, what's going on. This was an awesome opportunity for people to understand what's going on. Understand it from the council's point of view, from the community point, the people's point of view. Just sitting there to listen. And it could be passed on, and then people's fears would have been allayed. They would have been knowing that there may need to be because of the historical building that it was, that then there's all sorts of processes to go through with the historical rules and regulations. But we're just talking about it within the community and we don't really know what's going on. It's not good enough. Okay, this was such an opportunity to get ahead of this.
We're at step one in a 3 or 4 year journey. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't take-
people could have been here.
I'm taking it on, or
Yeah,
we are
it's not
taking
good
it.
enough.
So you feel that there possibly should have been, because how long's it been since that thing, since it went, a month, 5
Excellent.
6 weeks? Do you feel that there should have been some sort of public meeting in the interim?
I think that just on today's efforts, everybody should be alerted widely and strongly that this was happening today. Okay, so that people could have been there. That would have been something.
I mean, you're setting expectations that are beyond this forum anyway at the moment, because we don't have all the information that people are looking for. I understand that the communication needed to be better, and I've personally tried to do that myself with both my hats on.
Well, I know some people in the community who are very closely related with the entertainment centre that knew nothing about it, okay, until I told them. Okay, that's how bad it is. You think that you communicate, well, you're not. So,
That's exactly what we're saying. We're acknowledging that. And
yeah,
thank you for your time.
okay. And I'm sorry, I'm quite angry about it, but I'm actually angry about it on behalf of all the other people that are going to be angry about it. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your talk will be recorded.
Yeah, I was about to know, it's possibly worth noting for everyone, the workshop is recorded and publicly available, so it'll be made available from
I
tomorrow.
could put that
So
up on the Teviot belt.
anyone can view it at any stage in the future.
All right. The next public speaker is Pat. Come to talk to us about the proposed Millsback Sports and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Tamer, board members and staff. My name is Pat Garden. I'm a member of Teviot Prospects, who is the overseeing group for the development of a proposal to enhance the domain at Miller's Flat. I'm sure you will have all seen in your papers the background, so I'm not going to go into detail about the content of the proposal itself, but very happy to accept questions about that. I'd sooner, if I could, focus on what the vision of the project is and what the benefits we see from that project and the vision. So the vision really is, first of all, to enhance the Miller's Flat School Tournament, which has an annual day where the netball courts are an integral part of that, and there are a lot of people who come for that day. So that's one part of the vision. The second part of the vision is to provide a community hub. And I want to go into the detail about what our ideas about that are later. The third part of the vision is to provide a range of activities for senior people. This is not just about providing activities for children and young active people in the community. It's also about seniors. And the fourth part of the vision is to essentially profile Miller's Flat as a destination for people to come and visit, and who knows, maybe even stay. So the first part of that vision, in terms of enhancing the tournament, we all know, and I think there's a great deal of support for the upgrading of the netball court to make it safe for that. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's a big part of the project, all the same. But the second part, which is about providing a community hub, we can see the opportunity for a whole range of activities around the domain as being a hub for get-togethers, for it will have a barbecue, it will have a range of activities that everybody from 2 to 80 can enjoy. It also provides potentially an opportunity for, as a venue for, let's say, orchardists and their staff, as a venue for enterprises which have want to have a staff function. It would be an ideal place for that sort of activity where people could come. They could even have competitions, and I'd be very keen to see Avenel and Midsian Station having a competition on the domain. The next leg is about our elderly people, the seniors. So Miller's Flat has currently 59% of its permanent residents who are over 65. Now, their ability for physical activity is basically limited to walking, but many of them are able to swim, or at this stage, nor bike. But with a pétanque court and with the ability to play pickleball, which is a low impact sport, which is sort of a cross between ping pong, badminton and tennis, but on a very limited area. So it's not a high impact sport. So 80-year-olds could play pickleball. And then finally, as a destination, we think there's a real opportunity for that to occur. So, should I just emphasise too that the pavilion is absolutely not a part of the proposal. The future of the pavilion will be determined down the track, and that will be a function of the council and the community determining whether or not it has sufficient value, and if so, how that potentially could be maintained. The other issue I'd like to raise, there's been a lot of questions put around future management of the domain. And we've had discussions with Parks and Reserves, and they were really helpful, and I have to say enabling. They've indicated that the management and maintenance of the court could be accommodated within the budget. And that takes a huge pressure off the maintenance. There's not a huge amount of maintenance, but the artificial turf will require, on an occasional basis, the sand raked, some more sand put in. The sand is part of the pile to enable the surface to be hard enough, and an occasional spray, because moss and bacteria can build up in shady areas. So that's it. The role of the standing committee, which has been put together of a committed group of people who will undertake the oversight of the domain in partnership with Parks and Reserves, their role will actually be to profile the opportunities that the domain has, and to organise tournaments and to organise activities on it. So we are very focused to have this as an active area for the community. I think that's basically me, but very happy to accept questions.
Okay. Thank you. I guess as you know, we're discussing a paper in the formal part of the meetings. And there will be some discussion around the content of the submission that you've made. It's good to have, I guess, a wider view of the use, the bigger vision. And I would ask if the vision for the domain has been sort of holistically challenged with all the other facilities that are in like the rodeo ring, the school facilities, the hall, and when you start bringing it all together, there's quite a lot of community. How do you put it? Facilities that the community are taking responsibility for, which is encouraging when you see you've got such a small community, and they're putting their hands up to say we're actually happy to look after all of them. The enthusiasm in Miller's Flat is pretty good.
Yep. Yes, we are lucky.
Yeah.
Well, Chairman, we are lucky.
Mm.
The group the standard group that's put their name forward, with the exception of one or two, are not involved in any of those other sort of community groups, whether it's the hall or the swimming pool or the bakehouse or the radio. So it is a group, and they do though have commitments in terms of the school, because that's been a part of the big driver for an upgrade of the domain, and that's certainly emphasised by the range of support letters we have had from the Roxburgh School, from the Miller's Flat School, and from as far afield as Maniatoto, Tapanui and Clyde. So there is a big interest and an acknowledgement of the value of the facility stretching beyond Miller's Flat.
I've got a question. I know pickleball is all the rage. Have you been to a pickleball course?
No, I haven't.
They're exceedingly noisy. Pickleball is a really, really noisy sport, and you know, I'm personally, it's my personal thing. I'm dubious about having a pickleball court so close to so many houses. Pickleball drives people who have to live next to a pickleball court. It drives me fucking nuts. It's a loud, harsh. Tennis is a soft thud, and I'm actually wondering if you're not better off putting in grass tennis courts rather than a turf, a fake turf and a pickleball court. Because quite honestly, I think there's too many people. Miller's Flat's quite quiet. If you get people rocking up there to play pickleball early in the morning, 6:30, everybody in Miller's Flat's going to hear it. You know, and I know Miller's Flat's not a flat and it's small and it's not going to be going all day, every day. But if you decide to hold a tournament there and it starts early, I would seriously revisit pickleball.
You raise an interesting question about tranquility. At the moment, the activity on the domain consists of the Anzac Day parade, one day of intense activity around the tournament with a lot of people, and that's about it, apart from Council 9. And there's a real issue around what we do long term about infrastructure. If I go back to the process where we were looking at the future of Miller's Flat. And the agreement, the understanding by the group, when we were looking at that, was that in 30 years, Miller's Flat would have 300 people. Now, we're not going, and 300 was regarded as sort of a base that you would need to sustain a school and maybe a cafe and something else. Now, if we're going to have, if that's our goal, the whole question around whether the community should stay stagnate, you could say, at its current activity level, then we're going to have real difficulty trying to hit 300. Here's a space that is for activity, and yes, there are going to be effects from that. And I suppose our role as leaders in the community have got to make a decision, weigh up the decision, what are the benefits against the side effects.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah. Sharing that part of the vision was quite important. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Okay, moving on to the formal part of our meeting. Well, it's all formal, but next item is confirmation of the minutes, or take the minutes have been read. And we'll move that they are.
There's one 45.1.7 with regards to the Mill State Bridge posting and impact on increased volume of traffic at States Rocks Reese Road. It should be Teviot Valley Road or Teviot Road.
So with that adjustment, I'll just move that those minutes be accepted.
I'll second that.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Declarations of interest. Remind members that if they have or feel they have a conflict in any of the papers that are being discussed today, they should raise those matters now.
One of the agenda items is the Sports and Rec Hub, and whilst I don't have a pecuniary interest in it, I'm certainly quite involved in the proposal, and so it's been suggested to me that I should not participate in that discussion.
And does that mean that Mark is unable to vote on that paper as well? Yeah.
Yep, I assume that's what you mean. Not voting or being part of the discussion. So you're welcome to stay in the room.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So 25.2.2 is that very paper. Will be in Garrett.
Okay, thanks. I think Pat gave a pretty good overview of where this has come from. So there's a local community group looking or seeking to upgrade the Miller's Flat Recreation Reserve at no cost to council. So there's really two parts to this. One is the reserve side of it, and second part is probably the club room, but as said, is not sort of part of this proposal. But if there's questions around that, yeah, can answer those. So the what's being asked is consistent with the reserve management plan for this reserve. It's also consistent with the designation of this reserve, which is under the district plan, which is for recreational purposes. And I guess that also raises a concern that was, I might answer a concern that was raised earlier in public forum, that, you know, I guess if you're living next to a designated recreation reserve, you could probably expect or anticipate all forms of recreation to happen on that reserve, whatever they may take. That's just that's what they are, recreation reserves. So I guess there's I haven't answered any questions, but it's sort of, you know, the plan is quite, what is being asked is quite consistent with everything to do with the plan. I guess the board is being asked here, are they happy for this to proceed? I should also point out that there is a community plan being prepared during this year, which might provide a view that was raised in the public forum or around the table of what's happening recreational wise and otherwise within the Teviot ward itself. So you bear that in mind, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mike, sorry, just also add, members received last night 2 letters from members of the community. So you'll be aware of those letters. They don't have to be formally tabled, but you'll receive them.
Well, so what we're being asked to consider today, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is whether the board supports or not the continued use of the reserve and the upgrade of it. Is that true?
Yes, so you're being asked, this group wants to upgrade the reserve at no cost to the council, and the board's being asked, are they happy for that? So simply.
So that's
So it's
Along
not
the lines of the plans here.
that's like with the pickleball courts that just track the.
Well, pickleball are just lines on an artificial turf. So you can use for that, for tennis, netball, hockey, whatever other lines they want to put on those.
so its current use is for the same use that is being proposed.
Yes, currently two tennis courts on there,
Yeah.
and there was a bowling green. It's been defunct for 10 years or so now. There's a playground, there's war memorial.
Essentially, this group is asking to take control of a dilapidated resource that's just continuing to be an eyesore and is unused, and they have a vision for the community.
Yeah.
And they want to rejuvenate it. And we've been asked to, if we want to let them do it. And it's all within the plan. Jill raised points around noise. The letters we received last night, some of those concerns around noise and so on, but as Gordy's just laid out, you could be expected living next to a recreation reserve that would be the case. No matter where you were in the district. So it's not unique to the development, it just goes with the territory of living next to reserves.
The operation of the reserve will still be sitting with us.
Yeah, my understanding is that this group would construct all that.
So
the council.
issues around noise or interactions with the community will still that will result from the vision will still sit with us. Is that what?
That's right. Yeah, and it's pretty hard to start with people having fun.
Yeah.
Express that.
Yeah.
So I did have some people come and see me yesterday, who also sent a letter to me last night, who are also unhappy with this project going ahead in parts. And I think it feels like there's a lot of people that have got a lot of support for some tennis courts to be upgraded, but they're not necessarily keen on the whole upgrade. And I'm not quite sure where that conversation goes, because if we approve this today, then does that mean the whole thing goes ahead? And I think the other concern that they raised with me was, where has the money come from that's in Teviot prospects, that's the local contribution that's shown in these plans of 71,000, because they said there was some money from Fagan's Trust, and they're just wondering if all of that money's been used in this project. Has that been consulted on within the Miller's Flat community? So.
Okay, would you have the answer to that?
Right, to clarify that, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the 35,000 is what was left over from the Famous Community Trust, which was part of foodstuffs retention. And after a period of years, that money, which I think was totaling about 60,000 in total, was given back to the community trust. They dispersed that within Miller's Flat to some degree. 35,000 was the balance, which was put toward, put in trust to Teviot Prospects for projects within Miller's Flat. Teviot Prospects, it was suggested, should receive applications for grants for different projects. And when we queried what criteria was to work about that, there was no real response. So I went and visited and sat down at a meeting with the chair of Fagan's Community Trust. And I said, look, why don't we use that money as seed funding to obtain grants to do a single project?
Okay.
And the two of us went over the opportunities. The swimming pool, the hall, the school, the bakehouse, Fagan's cafe.
Yeah.
And out of it all, we both agreed that the domain was the obvious place to spend that money. And that's where the direction came from Fagan's Community Trust, sitting down with them.
Okay. So has that been shared with the community?
Absolutely.
It was shared in public meeting, start of March,
Okay.
because the same questions were raised.
Yeah.
Again, so it's hard to take a little bit of it, or it's hard to take a vote until that whole, because I've had people talk to me about it as well, and I'm keen for an upgrade as such, but that whole title thing's got to be sorted first. I'm not happy to vote on anything until that entire title thing is completely sorted, and so that everybody knows exactly what's going on,
Yeah, that's fair comment.
you know, and then once that's sorted, then I'm keen to vote forward.
But yeah, and we can take advice.
We've already we've already been informed today that the overlay may not be correct, so we're looking, everyone's going off an overlay that we.
Yeah.
Around the boundary issue, the may or may not be correct, so.
Yeah.
It's a fair concern though.
It's fair concern, but I mean, holding up a vote because we're not sure on that.
Through the chair, we could resolve that as part of the resolution, or we would anyway.
Yeah.
The boundaries might not be right.
Yeah.
We formally surveyed that, so we knew exactly where the reserve was and where the boundaries were, where the project can or can't go. So as you would with any property you buy, probably.
Yeah.
So we can check that.
Well, yeah. And that's just part of the due process.
Yeah.
So the other question I have myself is, or I've got two. One is around the impost on the ratepayer. We've spoken about the expectation that council will take over or continue to maintain the facility in what shape or form it ends up being, and whether we agree or not that it's going to be redeveloped or it stays in its current form. One of those dollar figures. You know, how much is it going to cost the ratepayer?
So we don't maintain our reserves per a dollar figure per reserve.
No.
Which is what it is. It's sort of a lump sum, and it costs what it is to deliver that reserve to that standard. So what is proposed here is that the tennis courts will now go on the bowling club site, which we currently mow occasionally. It's not an easy site to get to. And so that will eliminate mowing there. Then the old tennis court site will have a pump track and an extended playground, so it'll less work to do there. I'm envisaging that we roughly no more than we're doing now on that site, and we should probably be doing more on that site, to be honest. That's what it's going to stay where it is, because there's hedges and trees between the bowling club and the tennis courts that need a lot of attention, and that'll all get tidied up as part of this project. So it's probably going to be a benefit maintenance wise. As Pat pointed out, there will be some annual maintenance required on the astroturf grass. There's probably not a lot different than I said in Australia tennis court and grass for 2 or 3 times a year for weeds and.
So do we appreciate astroturf?
And yeah, they'll be depreciated, that's right. There'll be a depreciation cost.
So there'll be depreciation costs on the astroturf over, and what are they going to like in 10 years, 5 years?
10, 15 years probably.
Yeah.
So the council
Yeah,
owns
I know what it
the,
is. So we know what the value of it is.
Yeah.
council owns the pavilion, the actual like bulk.
Yeah.
How long have they owned that for?
Forever.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been at least,
Very long time.
yeah.
That was yours and then you leased it to the bowling club. So what's going to happen to the pavilion? Is that,
The
is that
LGP for divestment.
It could get demolished. Potentially, it could get demolished.
but it's had no maintenance on it. So it's been councils, but it hasn't been.
No, because it got sold to the young farmers for $1. So it was the young farmers.
Young
program.
farms.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you for that.
So have they've officially handed that back?
And they've handed it
That
back.
means it back to
Yeah.
council.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was up to them to maintain it and they haven't maintained it.
Mm.
But as Curtis points out, it's on the list for the divestment.
Yeah.
And the health impact. So there's a bit of an unknown about what community wants to be done with that. TP processes.
Okay, and the other issue that I wanted to sort of put out there was we're working at the moment to develop a community plan. We're working at the moment to develop, we've developed our outdoor, open spaces strategy. And part of that is developing the play strategy that some of us have been involved in. This project has the opportunity to be a part of those strategies, but it's like the cart before the horse, where we haven't developed those strategies, but it could be quite a valuable contributor to the outcomes of those strategies. Is there an issue with timing of this development?
I think the play strategy is really not about, more about how we encourage play, and it's just not about what we're going to put where. Not a wish list for playgrounds, it's how people play and interact with I guess the spaces we provide.
Yep.
And out of that for what we put into some of those spaces. But
Yep.
I don't think so. We've just finished an upgrade of the low burn playground, so we need to keep upgrading things, but it's not going to impact on strategy as such because it's a higher level document.
How many projects like this in the last few years, upgrades of playgrounds or reserves have been completed across the district that council funded?
There's been John Street Playground at Ranbury. That was the year before last. That was significant.
And have
100 grand.
there been any others that have been like this where they don't want any funding, they just want community groups just want permission and no funding?
Not off the top of my head. And most of them have had third party like the community trusts contribute to those as well. So seniors and help them develop new expertise. So they're quite supportive of those other things.
So it's even better if you're not having to fund it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did you want Rebecca to touch on your question around community play?
Okay.
That's an interesting question. What communities plans do is help communities figure out what the restorations are and their desires, and then how we can achieve those. And in this case, you've got a community that's been working on a project that is going ahead, got a plan in place, and so the community plans there not just staying there. And so I'd hate for that to happen. What a community plan could do is tell you where does it sit in the priorities of other activities across the valley. But in this case, you've got a committed group of people who have the energy to do a project.
Yeah.
it's, and so then you're sort of weighing up, well, is there an opportunity cost in that? And at this stage, I don't, you know, there isn't a group of people who are saying, hey, we want to build a pump track at St George.
Well, there is, yeah.
They're not at the same
Yeah.
stage.
No,
They're not at the stage where they can apply for funding or, you know, and so it's what would the cost of allowing this to happen? What is the opportunity cost of allowing this to happen? That's, I think, the key question.
Yeah. That's the valid input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's going to get really interesting because I think a lot of people within the valley are going to say, this is down at Miller's Flat, it's going to cost X amount, but we have to deal with the hall and the theatre. And that's been put to me quite a bit too, that like with the grants and going for these trusts, you know, for the money, is that money going to be better off putting to the rebuilds? And so I'm neutral on that, but that's what has been put to me, and I like a few people are going, whoa, you know, that's a lot of money. How about we move that into the.
Feel free to add to this, Pat, but these guys are looking to go for funding rounds now.
Yeah.
Imagine the entertainment centre's not looking anytime soon at going for funding.
So we
Yeah,
have to
because
be
they've
paid
got to be marked.
No, that's what I mean. So it's not competing because the funding rounds are separate funding. rounds.
Yeah.
Just-
In March, isn't it?
And also just clarifying, please, Rebecca, jump in because you're the expert in the funding stuff, but my understanding would be there are essentially different entities that are applying for funding, so they
Yes,
don't.
but those are the questions that it's the people are asking it, you know.
Yeah, but if they're different entities, then there's no issue there for the likes of a CLT who will fund an entity rather than worrying about, there's two things happening in the Teviot Valley, that's not the issue. It's the entities delivering the process.
It's good to be.
That's correct.
That's true. So, I mean, as far as community trust went on, Miller's Flat, I don't know what, Teviot Prospects, the guy that the applicant, the Teviot Prospects, it's what Teviot Prospects want to apply for an activity more than once in a 12-month period. And so you've got a 12-month window for most funders. If the entertainment centre comes, that's taken quite separately, or the business group, if they have an entity that it could find. So,
Yeah, no, that's cool. So one other question that I've got, or comment that I wanted to make, is there any appetite to do the project at Miller's Flat, but maybe not quite the same scale? So for example, tennis courts, which everyone seems to be really keen and in agreement on, like it just seems from feedback that I've been getting in the last few days that people are a little bit unhappy about the pump track and everything. So I just want to ask that question on behalf of those people.
Yeah.
All I can say, Shelley, is that with the community meetings that we have had, certainly questions were raised about all sorts of things, tranquility, the cost, the elements. And we had a really robust discussion about it all. At the end, there was an overwhelming support for the project as it was presented to be continued with. So yes, absolutely, there are people with reservations, but there were 40 people there, 1 or 2 have left, so let's call that down to 38 or 37. The coffee morning group had also considered it, and if you take away those who then subsequently attended the community meeting, there's a further 17 or 18 there who were absolutely in support. So there is, from the community discussions we've had, there was overwhelming support.
For the whole project scope,
Sorry,
for the complete project scope.
for the project as we presented it, yes.
And I think just to add to that, I think if we're doing a contract, you'd probably get a better value if you're doing more than this bit this year and this bit next year. It's just because they go from on site and here, against that orders, it doesn't all right at once as well. So well process of that best value for money and you're doing it all at once or feeding it over a 12 or 18 month period. It could be
I mean, the question to my mind is, we go back to our original, the decision we're being asked to support or not today is around the continued use of that land in a better state than what it is at the moment, without any cost to the community or to the ratepayer. And you know, is the scope of the project influential on that decision? I'm not sure. You know, it's sort of like whether it's just the tennis courts or it's the full scope that they've given us. Is that going to impact on our decision or impact on the ratepayer that we're representing today? Personally, I don't think so.
It is, and I think if the group doesn't get the funding that's predicted, then they will need to scale down.
Exactly, that's our decision.
Because there's no money in the long-term plan for council to support anything they're short on.
And there's no expectation that we do.
No.
When will the funding be known?
25th of September, Jill.
Oh, that's the railway, isn't it?
Because,
You got to apply.
because
Yeah, but don't applications have to be in by the end of this?
yeah, the work won't be able to start until the spring of this year, because the final grant body that we're seeking funds from, the Community Facilities Fund from lotteries, require all the other money that is going to be raised to be signed off. So you have to go through the process of Target Community Trust, where their application closes in about 10 days' time. And then Central Lakes Trust, and we will have their decisions, go or no, or partly or whatever, by the time we put the application into the lotteries, which will go in on the 25th of June. The approval is 25th, 26th of September.
Okay, cool.
So from a financial perspective, I'm reading in here that we're asked to commit funds from the Recreation Reserve Fund.
There's not being asked for any kind of, there was a question of what that money was really done.
Okay.
Where it came from, and it's come from depreciation of the assets within that reserve over the years.
So is it likely that we are to be asked to contribute out of that fund?
Can't answer that. They've said in the application, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Just said if they're short, then I guess that's an option for them to consider.
Yeah.
Fresh money,
So that may be used on something else within the reserve. You know, we still have the war memorial we need to keep maintaining that scraps, and that's not part of this development. Okay. No one's going to spend 88 grand on the war memorial, but I mean, it will need some, it does need regular maintenance.
Well, I suppose that raises another issue, is the development synchronous with the fact that there is a war memorial reserve. It is, the main part of the reserve has been for a war memorial, but it has had tennis courts there. Do the two sit together?
Well, there's a number of war memorials around the country that are playgrounds for children and have other things other than the memorial itself. So they represent, people's thoughts at the time.
So we have considered that.
Queenstown one is great. That was a war memorial with a playground behind us. Yeah.
Okay. So has anyone got any more comment? Questions?
I think I'd say about a war memorial is I'd rather see a war memorial in a vibrant with stuff going on around it than in an area that's just continuing to degrade and fall apart around it.
Looks to be a comment.
Sorry, can I also just come back to your question there around funding and the depreciation fund? And again, Rebecca, you're the expert in this area, but my understanding would be other funders may ask the question, what is council or community board putting towards this project in terms of finance as well?
No, 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 next
You might consider that as you're putting together your thinking around whether or not you make such funding available to the project or not. That can always come back when you find out more from the funders.
But at this stage, they haven't requested anything, have they?
Not at this stage, but the application
They,
is.
they were asked about the contribution that the project can bring.
Right.
At times, that will, they will also, funders will also think that council should be submitted, should be contributing. And I can't talk to
Can't,
on this particular one,
Yeah.
because the project itself has funding.
Funding.
Okay, so we've been asked to, as we pointed out before, approve the development of the Miller's Flat Recreation Reserve or not. The options that we have are option 1 and option 2. Have you all read those options? Do I need to go around the table as to which option people prefer, or shall we, well, I will, actually.
I'm happy to go with, the development of it because it does need some TLC down there at Miller's Flat. And, but like I said, I'd just like to maybe put a bit of a reserve on making sure the titles are in place first and sort of question the pickleball
Yeah.
noise. But I do think that the reserve needs refurbishment, definitely.
Yeah, I've made my reservations on behalf of the people that came and saw me. I mean, I'm definitely in favour of projects going ahead without a doubt. I just had a few people that were quite concerned over it and they live in Miller's Flat, so I've raised those issues.
Yeah, I think you've got a group that's come with a 20-year vision for Miller's Flat to continue to be a prosperous little rural town and not slip backwards. So yeah, all for it.
Okay, so going back up to the top. The recommendations are the Teviot Valley Community Board A receives the report and accepts the level of significance. B agrees to the redevelopment of the Miller's Flat Recreation Reserve in line with the proposals put forward by the Miller's Flat Recreation Reserve Steering Group depicted in the plans attached. Notes that council is not being sought for funding for this project, and D authorises the chief executive to do all that necessary. So I move that A, B and C be accepted. Sorry?
Resolution.
That's part of due process. This is part of due process. So all those in favour say aye. Aye. And those against say no. Carried. Huh? Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you need it.
We'll take those.
Oh, sorry, I needed a seconder for that motion. No? I needed a seconder for that motion. Oh, good. Right, where are we up to? 25.2.3, fee management consultation proposal. Holly, welcome.
Morning. So yes, we'll be talking about the speed management consultation proposal. I'll take the report as written. However, to summarise, as I presented to council in December last year, our previously approved speed management plan was unfortunately nullified by changes to the setting of speed limits rule. We were able to proceed with many of the school speed limits under the new rule. However, there is also strong public support for the previously approved speed management plan, so we would like to proceed with it. What we've done is gone through and reviewed the old plan and aligned it with the new rules and requirements under the new law, and come up with some new proposals which are attached. We've also reviewed service requests that have come through from the wider community, and considered these in this new proposal. At this stage, there's nothing being raised specifically for the Teviot Valley, rather than the state highway, which we don't administer, so we can't change those. Yeah. Is there anything?
Yeah, I guess, the main item with regards to the previous consultation was the Millsflat School zone, which is being, completed through without consultation under the new rule. So that's all implemented. With regards to the Roxburgh School, we are awaiting NZTA changes and then, our local road changes to support that will follow, and we consistently, I would say, have on occasion have people reaching out with regards to the 80K zone, which is state highway, and we continue to pass those requests on to the NZTA around the future state highway speeds. So yeah.
Can I ask a question? How come we're doing this in small when none of this is actually in our ward? Why is our involvement in this necessary when it's not in the area? It's not the place.
I guess that's,
So,
this is
I'm not being rude. I just want to know why.
this is more of, I guess, a courtesy call,
okay.
by us to the board. So this will go to council. And we're going to all 4 boards, to make them aware that we are going back out for consultation. The last thing we want to do is have someone who hasn't raised a service request, or if you as, people in the community have murmurings around you're missing an absolute rehearing of the change. We've looked at it and we don't think we are, but it's more just a garnishing back. All 3 other boards, do have changes. Some have a number, some have very little, as well. But yeah, it was more of a courtesy call today as we are doing all 4 boards, and just in case we had missed anything that you're aware of as members of the community.
I'm starting to without, oh, this doesn't got to do this.
Community, yes.
I mean, the obvious question to me is the influence of the posting on Millsflat Bridge has it got any influence on the speed limits that are on the Teviot Road?
So Teviot Road was done 3-4 years ago. I can't remember if it was 2021. 2021, and reducing that to 80Ks. Yes. And I think that was a good stage improvement there. So I think that is sort of, with that restriction, that is what you would actually look at for that area.
Yeah.
So I think it was sort of, you wouldn't adjust that be able to adjust that any lower under the rule.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing that, and it was only from just the impact on the diversion of the heavy traffic around.
You have to do a cost benefit analysis of that under the rule, though, don't you?
Or if we were doing change, so if we're doing rule, any change has cost benefit, as it's previously been implemented, doesn't. So all of these, as we work through recruitment for council, will have a cost benefit analysis done. And yeah, it's sort of a step-by-step process as we work through.
I just wondered, some of the school teachers and parents have noticed that other schools, but not theirs, have been getting the signs. Have you got a time frame for ETA, especially for the Roxburgh?
I can't give you a specific time frame of when it will happen. However, it will need to happen by May 2026. That's under the new rule. The RCA's for any review, they're going to sketch it until like then. They want to go earlier than they would like.
Do we have any way to influence that time frame? We've had some complaints around safety issues for some of the
The best would be to direct that to the NZTA so that they can factor those issues in.
but we can also be a conduit for that, so if they, put a service question to us or even, buy you stuff like that, very well, as well, between us, I'm sure we can continue to advocate for those tokens rather than later. Considering there's no conservation requirements around the schools, it's largely just, sign cost and installation.
And can you not, the state highway is obviously one part, but if there's arterial roads around it that fall under our jurisdiction, do they have to all be done at the same time?
It would depend if they abut directly onto, so we can look at other roads if they're not. So we've done that for Branbury School, and has some main gates that there's to engage with state highway that needs to be addressed in the future, but we've gone and done that, but for lots of Rossmore School, the majority of that is on the state highway.
Caravans through the Ida Valley. They quite often, they've got that school there, and it has signed 40 kilometres in the schools, and it's like, my kids were school 100 years ago. I don't even know where the school holidays are, so that the signage at that, and that's a fast road. So the signage at that school heading down the Ida Valley is not good.
That has been upgraded as per the changes, so it will now have electronic signage, which is only active during the school pickup.
Yeah, it's like, it's wide down, you go, oh, God, is it school holiday?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to get it school holidays when you got your kids on the car.
They must be quiet.
So those are programs to be on.
Well, has anyone else got any, questions for Holly and Cupid? And we've just been asked to receive the report and accept the level of significance and note that council will be considering our report for speed limit changes for the district with no local road changes in the Teviot Valley. So I'll move that we follow that recommendation. Can I have a second, please?
Yeah.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Carry. Thank you, guys.
Good work, team.
Okay, so the Teviot Valley financial report for the period ending 31 December 2024. Been such a long time ago. Donna. Henry's online.
Hi, sorry, unfortunately, I couldn't be with you in Roxburgh today. So I take the paper as being, can you got no sound? How about now? No? It's working on, how about, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, hang on a second.
Yeah, from back, right? Yeah. Yeah. So next item, we'll come back to that when we've got the technology issue. Next item is payment.
Thank you. Yeah. There has been quite a lot on in the last sort of 6 or 8 weeks, so I've just put some highlight reels into an email to share with you all. Last weekend I was part of the fundraising for the inaugural mayoral challenge, where Jim Bolt, who used to be the mayor of Queenstown, has put out a challenge to mayors around New Zealand to raise the most money that they can for the Child Cancer Foundation. So we ran a sausage sizzle at New World on Saturday, and Sue has counted my bucket for me, and I think it had $913-ish from 2 hours. So we're pretty happy with that, and very generous people stopping by. I welcomed on the weekend 70 psychologists and psychiatrists from around the world to Clyde for they come every 2 years for a conference that's run by a local who also happens to be a psychiatrist, I think, out of Auckland University. So it was neat to have them in the district. We had a citizenship ceremony where 20 local Kiwis were made actual Kiwis, including a lovely woman who has been here for 65 years already before getting her citizenship. So I think she was probably well and truly a local. We had a very well attended Business South meeting, an event after, which highlighted Film Otago Southland and the support that they can offer to film productions, but also commercials, TV shows and things like that want to be in our area. There was a local water done well meeting at the last council meeting, where our council voted to continue with the discussions around a joint council controlled organisation with 4 other councils. That will be coming out as a separate item after our long-term plan, because you know we love to consult and consult, so that'll be really good, and hopefully we can drum up a lot of interest and put out as much information as we can so people understand what's going on in that space. I met with John Christie to talk about the Cromwell branch of the Otago Polytech and what's on offer for our area. That facility is quite well utilised, but could be more. They've got some exceptional courses there. It would be a real shame if they weren't able to keep the numbers that they need, because as we know, for a lot of those organisations, it's all about numbers and bums on seats as opposed to actually doing good work in our community. I've caught up with the local government Minister Simon Watts in Queenstown, Minister Mark Patterson in Alexandra, and also our local MPs Miles Anderson and Joseph Mooney. A couple of times actually over the last wee while. They were also in and out for our AMP show season, which I attended AMP shows here, Omcow and Ranfurly, and I'm pretty sure Over the River took the cake for the hottest day. It was exceptionally warm. I felt sorry for them.
Had a really hot one.
It was, yeah, all those poor wee kids in their riding jackets on their ponies. I thought they'll be cooking, but it was a really wonderful day. And I visited the Roxburgh Dam with Craig from Mayor's Task Force Jobs to meet with a young person who's working for the company there that are doing the turbine replacements, and it was fascinating. I've never been inside the Roxburgh Dam before, so it was really cool to have a look around and see what the turbines look like, and also the engineering advances they've made since the old turbines, when you look at the old one and the new one side by side, and hopefully they'll be seeing a lot more efficiency out of those new turbines as well. I attended the Waitangi Day celebrations in Queenstown, which was wonderful, but then had a terrible call from Sally at lunchtime to say the Roxburgh Entertainment Centre was on fire alongside the photo. So shot down here, and yeah, it really was quite apocalyptic on the main street with that day.
I couldn't get Tamer on the phone, so I just sent some photos, and that got some action.
A devastating day for our community, and I acknowledge that there is a lot of enthusiasm from this community to really have a say in what that next part looks like, especially around what you want to build, what purpose it's going to serve, what it might look like, might look exactly like the old one, and also the challenges for the community around that facade at the front and the fact that it had to come down and that the community didn't get to have the say of, oh, you know, we're all going to get out there and shore it up. But that was an operational decision based on safety. But the clock at the front, isn't it, has been rescued. And there will be absolutely lots of opportunities for the community to say what they think should go in there, which may or may not be a movie theatre. Nor might still need a job selling tickets or something in the front room, but it is going to be a long process, but we will absolutely do our best for better communication so that people know things are on. So I'm sure Jill and myself and Sally and all the others will be able to share that video once it goes up so that it can be out there and people can see what's discussed in the workshop. Thank you very much. That's my report.
Thank you. Anyone got any other questions?
Can I just ask a quick couple? Can you give us a 30-second update on the 2 big amalgamation projects that are potential amalgamation projects that are sort of bubbling away? I mean,
because there's no amalgamation, but I am happy to give
whatever the term is with water and with the other.
with the regional deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you just sort of give us from the mayor's mouth, sorry.
Yeah, certainly. So regional deals at the moment, we have sent through the paperwork effectively that was required for the light touch approval to the government. We are there are quite a few went in from all around New Zealand from different councils with different agendas and things on their radar. I think the feedback that we've had informally so far is that we've got quite a strong bid in terms of what comes next. But we have to wait from the government to hear if we are going to be invited to negotiate at the table. And the first part of that negotiation, my understanding, would be a memorandum of understanding of how we would operate with government, but also with each other, because you may have noticed that there might be a difference of opinion around some of the tables. So that would be the first part, is how we're going to organise and work together.
This is our first step into full regionalisation, which will take place. It's coming, so that will take place down the track.
No, there are some indications, I guess, from the government that they want to see planning and things on a regional scale, and that definitely came out with some of the previous legislation that they've said. We've already merged from 850 odd councils to the 77 that we've got now in 1989.
Yeah, but it'll be centralised.
I don't know what the direction is going to be from the government. I think there are wins for our communities if we can work smarter, and some of that will be working together. But it's not about all operating as one giant council for the area, and that is not our intention of being part of a regional deal. But we do operate across boundaries a lot of the time, and there's some things that we could be working on together.
So there'll be CCOs, council control organisations, and then they'll morph into CCTOs.
No,
No.
not for regional deals.
No.
The principal thing of the regional deals is economic growth, infrastructure resilience, and housing affordability. They are the three government objectives that any regional deal has to be able to address, those three. And not as a CCO, who's definitely not even on the discussion.
That's regional deals, which sits separately from the water services entity. Part of that discussion is, are we interested in forming a CCO either on our own or with other councils? And that's those 4 other councils that are currently showing an interest in crunching the numbers. We will crunch the numbers and then come to our community. We're anticipating late May for consultations.
Yeah, so the first decision point is 28th of, the 1st of May, the 1st of April. On the preferred, actually there's 3 decision points that have to be made in the next month. This week we have to make a decision whether we allow Timaru to join the agreement. We still have to wait whether Timaru want to join, but intimated they did. So we've had those discussions with the other 4. The next decision that has to be made on the following week on the 1st is, what is the preferred operating model for CODC in light of what we're doing collectively? Is it in-house status quo? Status quo, we use that term in a very loose term because it's not the status quo. A single council CCO or a multi-council CCO, which is the regional model. And then at the end of, or the first week of May, we have to make a decision. All the councils have to make a decision. If they agree to a particular course of action, then have to make a decision early May to adopt a consultation document that will go out to those 4 or 5 communities to say, okay, here's our preferred option. These are the other 2 options, because we'll have to go out with 3 options. What do you think?
And we're planning that the consultation document that will be the same going out to each council, although it'll have obviously our numbers in it. And it will also highlight financial attributes of going it alone or going it together, and also the non-financial stuff that may be a benefit or not a benefit.
So who you for? So you're looking at Gore,
Clutha, us, Waitaki, and Timaru at the moment. Other ones who've indicated that they'd be interested in continuing the conversation.
Cool, good question, Mark.
Thank you.
So I'll move that we accept the mayor's report have a seconder, please?
One second.
All those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Carried. Chair's report. Okay, I just want to take the opportunity in my report to, I guess, formally acknowledge the events of 6th February and, more importantly, thank all those that have been involved in trying to save the building. Fire Brigade, Lake Roxburgh Contractor, Copenhagen and Police, all the volunteers who helped to ensure the safety of people as the event unfolded on the day. Due recognition also to the community and the loss that they have suffered over the devastating fire, and I guess there's a strong encouragement coming from my position as part of the entertainment centre committee, and also the chair of this board, that we acknowledge that the community, I guess, is grieving in a long-term sense. It's not just here's the day gone tomorrow sort of thing. We've got a journey ahead of us, and as Janet quite rightly pointed out this morning, we do need to be communicating amongst each other. That communication will help unite us, and that's for me, that's the easiest path to delivering what the community wants as we rebuild. I also want to acknowledge the efforts of the COGC staff is in the response to this. Gareth, Brent, Bex, councillors, Peter, Tamer and David by name, but knowing that everyone on the staff has had some input to the recovery. And also to councillors, engineers, fire investigators and insurance companies. They've all got a part to play in our recovery and have had a significant input to that process so far. Yeah, it's, like I said, the key part for this for me is that we have a united approach to it rather than fragmented, as it's been a big challenge that no one wanted to have to deal with. No one wanted the fire. And this afternoon our workshop is the first, I guess, real step in uniting the community with the efforts of council staff and this board and the entertainment centre committee. So I'm looking forward to it myself. On other matters, I've participated in an LTP workshop, attended council meetings, dealt with a lot of the entertainment centre follow-on in my usual roles in the rest home. It's been a busy old and taxing old month. Let's see in my report. Just move that report be accepted. Please.
Yep.
And all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Carried. Members' reports.
I think Donna should be online. I hope it's working now.
Well, we just do the members' reports and then we're done. Starting off, Joe.
Yep, sure. So yes, I attended the AMP show. Always great to see the good attendance over there, and yes, it was a very hot day. I think it was too hot. 4th of March, I had a community response group meeting. So I've talked about this on a number of occasions. We've got a little group working here. And at the moment we're finalising a brochure for the Roxburgh area for people to have in the case of an emergency. And something of interest on the 28th of March is that a new area is going to be fitted to the roof of this building and also at Miller's Flat Hall, so that we've got better outgoing communication, because we've done some testing on some drills and realised that our aerial, for we don't know for what reason, it seems to have a bit of a glitch. It's really hard to get a signal out, so we're getting an improved aerial being fitted on the 28th of March, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be fitted up on the roof. On the 5th of March, we had the pool closing, and Sports Central was there with Mr. Whippy, a barbecue and some inflatables. And it was a really successful day. There was heaps of people there. And sorry, it's the second season. Yeah, second season. Yeah, no, it's good. Yep, yep. And we will have a notice going in the bulletin next week just about the divestment of the swimming pool to the community. So we're putting a community notice out next week in the bulletin, and we're just waiting so that we can put some information about the drop-in sessions as part of that notice, so people know where they can go to get further information and discuss it. So that will be in the bulletin next week.
So is that the drop-in sessions that are part of the OTP?
Correct. Yeah.
So you're not having any direct?
We will be at, yeah, so the swimming pool committee will be at that session in Miller's Flat for sure. And Tamer, is there going to be a spot for our committee to talk at that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be around 6 p.m.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Had Teviot Prospects meeting on the 18th of March, and we had Rebecca McElroy here, who spoke about starting a new community plan. So she gave us a little bit of an update on that. And the other thing really that we talked about there was the garden tour was a bit of a discussion and looking at new ideas for invigorating that, so whether we still hold it in October or if we move it to a different month of the year, such as February. So those are in discussions. I've discussed with Sally from the business group about upgrading the street flags. So we're working on a design for some upgraded street flags, and we're hoping to apply for some funding later in the year so that we can get a set of banners. And we're looking at doing something using this graphic artwork that we've got on the wall here, but brightening up fruit, so it would actually be the colour of what fruit is to make it a little bit more vibrant. So that's good. Yeah, so we'll just work through that with, I've sent some stuff off to James, so I can bring some more information back to the board once we get down the track on that.
So is that the business group?
Correct, yeah, and they're gonna apply for funding, getting the flags done.
So a couple of years back, and Todd came and spoke to us.
Correct.
Yeah. We reached out to her.
Yeah, so we didn't know her name, but we've got the artwork that James designed back then when she came and talked to us. So that's good. I will write her name down and Todd.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got her number. I'll have her number somewhere.
Okay, great.
And we're going to have to change the ball to a Hereford rather than a black Angus because it's going to upset.
Okay. I think it would be, so Anne's idea was maybe we had a different group on, or something different on every banner, which doesn't make it very cost effective because you've got to produce, 20 different artworks, for example. But like, I think that is quite a cool idea because you get everything's represented, and then we'd have it on the one banner and down the street.
Yeah.
That just brighten anyway, I will definitely get in touch with Ian on that one. Ben from Sport Central has organised for Phil Oliver, who's based up in Alex, to come down and talk to the kids at the, that are doing the bike jump by Grover's Hill. So he's, if you don't know Phil, he was, he's done a lot of the mountain biking tracks in Alexandra. And so it's quite exciting that he's going to come down and have a chat to the kids. I think that's going to be in the beginning of April.
How are the kids going?
Really well, yeah. And Ben also wants to set like a bit of a formal group going for the kids. So they've got some kind of guidelines that they're working through as well.
Yeah, I mean, you just reminded me of that
Yes.
fund.
Yes. So I did talk to Gordy about that $3,000.
Yeah.
And he thought that could actually, we could get quite a lot of bang for our buck for that 2,000 for starting some tracks. So if the board was happy for that money to go towards mountain biking tracks, then what I'd do is talk to Kath Kelly.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to her yet because I didn't know if we were going to put that money to those tracks, but
Yeah, I meant to raise it this morning.
yeah, I definitely would talk to Kath about that, and I think that would for sure get them started.
So we'll talk about that after the workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
The other thing is, we've been doing some track work on the river track in Grover's Hill with money that we had planned to do this week, but we weren't really sure when Josh was going to get around to doing the work. So Josh has got onto it. So we've finished both ends of the river track now through to Tweed Street Bridge and just through the Fire Brigade Reserve. We've finished a little section that we didn't do when we initially did it. That's finished, and he's working on Grover's Hill at the moment from this end where the what do you call it? The camping, you know, the pump, the water and everything is at this end anyway of town. He's, you know, what I mean?
By Frog Rock.
Yes, yeah, at this end. So he's going in from that Frog Rock end and upgrading that track.
Yeah.
I've been down here to look, it looks fantastic. And at the top, the pitch where you go actually up to Frog Rock, it was too steep, and because of rock up there, and it was really hard for people, particularly coming down. So he's just tried to flatten that off a little bit and take a little bit of the steepness out of getting up to Frog Rock to make it safer.
Has he had any resistance from the neighbours?
No. And I think he has been in communication with them. And then
I've been accosted by them.
oh, okay. We just recently.
Yeah.
Okay. He has. I think he has spoken to them.
It was more about the waste station being there than.
Oh, okay.
The waste station is an issue
Right.
at the end of the drive.
But anyway, that's just distracting.
So then basically once the tracks are finished, which is imminent, we've got some money that we got from Transfer a few years ago for putting signage on the river track and putting a sign in King George Park. And I've got one of the parks team is just looking at the signage that we've had designed by James, which fits in with the signage, how it's meant to be. But I'm just getting them to have a look at it for me to make sure that we've got everything on that main board that we should have. But we're basically colour coding the two trails. So Grover's Hill is blue and the river's green. And so if you're heading off to Grover's Hill, you'll be following blue signs. And if you're heading off to the track, you'll follow green signs and waypointing. So hopefully that signage is going to go up soon, and we'll also put a note in the bulletin just to update the community on the signage. And I think it'd be really easy to, if you've got visitors here and you're trying to explain where to go, you just tell them to go to King George Park, and then from there they'll be able to get started. And once we've got that done, the next thing that we're looking at doing is more native planting by the swimming pool. We've got 2 more stages that we want to do there, and we'll definitely be looking for community support to help us with planting days. But we need to get that organised, but we will let people know and also share our vision with the community around that as well.
Is spring job look?
Possibly even in winter. Yeah, it's quite good to do it in winter, but yeah, winter or spring. Yeah. And then Council staff, so Tamer's updated you on local water done well. I was gonna just discuss the recycling station, but we've discussed that. At council, at our last meeting, we did adopt the open spaces strategy, and I think there is real opportunity to groups to work with council to do improvements within that strategy. Regional deals, Tamer's talked about that as well. She's stealing my thunder today.
I got the questions, yeah.
And I was going to give you an update on LTP timeline, etc., but things keep moving. It's a moving feast, so I won't do that. And that's me. Oh, you do? Is that correct? Okay. That's good to know. So Miller's Flat, there will be a meeting on Thursday, the 3rd of April from 5:30 to 7:30. There will be a meeting on Tuesday, the 8th of April at the Memorial Hall in Roxburgh from 5:30 to 7:30. And there will be a meeting at the Roxburgh Library, not a meeting, but there'll be a Q&A and drop-ins on Tuesday, the 15th of April from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there will also be an online link for people to be able to join on Tuesday, the 22nd of April from 8 to 9 p.m. But we will be putting all this in the bulletin, I think, next week. Yep.
Because you okay if I screenshot this and put it up on the Teviot Facebook page?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
And I think we will be, we're advertising it in bulletin next week.
Cool.
He's got the window open on the front with new dates, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you, Sally. Jill?
Just quick and short, just medical, cost meeting, and they're just firing ahead with everything with, new windows, you know, having windows and, the horrific cost of heating, everything, because cold, warm is painful, something that they're going through. At the moment, we're having to put in some sort of new heating system. But it's doing well and everybody's happy. We've got a new chairman and he's rocking through things pretty quickly and very efficiently. So, and that's me.
Yeah, Curtis.
Yeah, just following on from you, Norm, thank you to the first responders and council staff on the day off and contractors involved in the entertainment centre cleanup. After that, AMP show also attended. There was a reasonably localised thunderstorm late February. It was a Tuesday. I don't have the exact date, but it caused quite a lot of damage in and around Miller's Flat. And I've had a few people reach out regarding Timburn Road, and I've since been talking with Quinton about it. He's very good and they are onto a permanent fix, but it is impacting operations up that road with stock trucks and similar to the Millsap Bridge. It's just there is an alternative route, but it's causing delay and cost on everyone. So hopefully, get that fixed sooner rather than later. 3rd of March, I attended the Sports and Recreation Hub Information Evening in Miller's Flat. We've covered it all previously, but I would suggest that it was well attended. There's a few people with reservations around the scope and the size of it, but they tended to be direct neighbours more than anything, but largely well supported. And just in general, rural ratepayers have cottoned on that there is some of the largest rate increases in the district coming their way this year in this ward. And there's a few questions around why, and people are just waking up to 24% rate rises is not a small number. And I understand it's some of us to do with districtisation and it being a long-term plan year and provision of services, but it does come on the back of a 9.9% increase for us last year. So compound it, we're nudging 40% in 2 years. So it's just a point to note. On that, want to thank Fulton Hogan, the roading re-gravelling of the rural roads on the east side of the river, and the Timburn Road, Three Brothers Road. In particular, they've done a very good job at improving them. It's And it's like, I know it's a big job that they don't do. It's probably once every 20 years, but they're doing a really good job, so it is noted.
Cool, cool. Just on the LTP stuff, it was sort of with the rates, potential rate increases. How do we reach those guys or those people? Encourage them to come along to
There is, I mean, if you dig into the council website, and it was before you had to amend your, correct me if I'm wrong, your consultation document after your, the errors that were found. There was a pie graph that showed where the money was being spent, but I don't know if it's been updated yet.
So I'm talking about the people themselves. And
Yeah, I'm saying even I'm probably, would like a little bit more information on how and where.
Have you getting along to these drop-in sessions?
I just probably got to get on the phone to a few people, don't I? Yeah. Rural ratepayers, there's not a heap of them, but they all have reasonably large bills, so they are interested.
And it's important that they are encouraged to come along to these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Could you send something out on the distribution of the water, as a.
Yeah, there's a number of rural groups, discussion groups, water queue groups, irrigation company. We could, via those channels could reach most rural ratepayers on that side of the river anyway.
Well, how do we go about doing that?
Oh, I can do it.
Both are on our email database.
Yeah.
They will be receiving the information around the long-term plan consultation.
Yeah.
All the documentation will be updated, I guess, Friday week. So that graph, that information, the rates impact, and the 400 odd pages that will be supporting this, because that's how big this document, well, the consultation document is probably only 40 pages, but they're supporting information.
Yeah.
That will all be posted Friday next week, because council will be making their decision the following week to adopt the consultation document. So all that will be updated. The those we have the email addresses, we will be reaching out to them directly for all those ratepayers.
Sure.
But only out of the, let's just say there's probably 4,000 on the email database and 8,000 not. So for 8,000 who aren't, we'll probably be looking to put a post-it note or something through the mail to them, because that's our only means of physically connecting to them. Then the rest of it's going to be in the paper and the libraries. We will be running some radio adverts as well during the school holidays to just try and keep it front and centre.
Sounds
right.
After today's meeting, I'll share with you the plan that the engagement team has developed. It shows who's been pre-engaged, who we're targeting through the process. So if you see that, you see gaps, feed it back into it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, kids. Mark.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I've done quite a bit of work on the Sports and Recreation Hub, and thank you for the people that discussed it and voted for it today. Been to a museum meeting. I have to report, unfortunately, the chairman passed away at the weekend, Margaret Hull. So that's very sad. Attended a dinner, was asked to attend and speak at dinner club meeting, and I spoke very highly of the Teviot Valley Community Board at that meeting, of course, and of the council. Attended
What's
a very
club you're talking about?
The one at not
Country
Fountain Country Club, not
Right,
that one.
okay.
Yeah. The North Black Hall ran a very well attended end of sort of a summer party on a Sunday afternoon. Had a bouncy castle and barbecue, and I don't know, there's 150 people turned up, maybe more, probably more over a period of 3 hours. So it was a very, very successful local community event. I attended the council stand at the Roxburgh AMP show for a couple of hours. That was interesting. Teviot Prospects, there's a few things that you do that people don't know about, but they do finance or act as the umbrella group for financing various things, and the walkway stuff that Sally does. I'd like to, congratulate Sally. Great job, Sally, what you've done there. And we don't do it, but we do. The financing passes through us, so we can claim the GST back. We're looking at the seats in town, and someone removed the planter boxes from town because they were looking pretty dodgy. Is that you?
No, wasn't it?
It was Curtis.
Oh, Curtis, the other Curtis, sorry. Yeah.
They're looking a bit
So,
child
yeah, so they've gone. And the other thing that we had a presentation from this week was the upcoming community plan, which I think is going to be a great thing. And so there'll be more communication about that community plan as to when it's going to run and how we're going to involve people. One of the big challenges is that there's a lot of community engagement that's happening at the moment with the long-term plan, and there has been last year with all of the different distribution and delegations, etc. And now it's just here we've got some long-term plan things and the CCO type of community involvement. So there are a lot of community involvement requests being put out there, and I think we just got to be careful that community don't get installed without and through, you know, and go, oh, I've been at enough community meetings, I don't want to go to another one. And I just think that the community plans, you know, if you said which are the most important ones, to us as a community, the community plan is probably the most important one, whereas to the council, the long-term plan is the most important one. So I don't know how we manage our way through that process. Anyway, looking forward to the community plan. I've recently completed the final bits and pieces and training to become a Justice of the Peace. So hopefully soon that will be finished and I'll be able to serve the community in some way for that. And also a community thing, that anybody having trouble with the internet or wanting more internet or faster internet, I've just put Starlink on and works really, really well. And they've got a $79 plan.
True. No, really.
And
Careful, they somebody people know and come and let it down.
yeah, and it's fast, it's portable, and it's unlimited. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. Oh, except you've got to pay the $600 to get it, but yeah. And finally, I have had, you know, lots of people worried about the rates rises coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, members. I just move that those reports be received. Have a second, please.
I'll second.
All those in favour say aye.
Right.
Those against say no. Carried. Right, we'll go back to item to 25.2.4, financial report.
Hello, hopefully you can hear me now. I take the paper as being read. The financial report as at 31st of December 2024 has a favourable operating variance of $16,000 against the revised budgets, with revenue having a small favourable variance of $3,000, which has been driven from internal interest revenue on your surplus reserve balances. Expenditure has a favourable variance of $13,000, with contracts being favourable, along with internal interest expense and also staff costs. Rates expense, cost allocations and other costs do have small unfavourable variances at this stage, with the rates expense variance to stay through the remainder of the year. Capital expenditure has a favourable variance of $17,000, with 41% of the total revised budget being spent. Parks and reserves are in line with their budgets, and property has a favourable variance of $16,000. This relates to the Roxburgh Entertainment Centre, which you have all been talking about throughout this meeting. There are still some invoices to come through from the previous work that was being carried out, so we don't have a total figure of that just yet. The reserve funds as at 30 June 2024 had a closing balance of $1 million in surplus and is estimated to finish this financial year with a surplus of $766,000. This is taking into account any carry forward capital projects from the previous year and the annual plan 24-25 movements for this year. We've done a little bit of a sum for you just to give you an idea of where the Roxburgh Entertainment Centre is forecasted to finish its reserve balance. And as you will see in the report, it is forecasted to finish this financial year with 152,000 in deficit. But with the capital expenditure no longer happening for the remainder parts of the project, it is more likely to finish with a deficit of $53,000, which is a little bit smaller. Are there any questions?
But in the future, will we see this? Presumably, we won't see this report. The one we get, the next one we get, this report will disappear.
Post digitization.
Yeah. So is that the way it will work?
There will still be some reporting on financials, but might not be this exact report. The reserves will still remain to the ward, and promotion grants and that sort of thing. So, but there'll still be reporting on financials that will come to the board. Equally too, I would imagine that the board would be interested in the council equivalent that goes to the council, which essentially summarises the district. So I would imagine the board would still want to see that and then the position council.
Will that be broken down by ward?
No, because the reserves would be most likely, I'm assuming, Donna, but the way we do our council accounting, it's not by ward because roading's roading, water's water.
Yeah. When people are interested in how much money is being spent in the award.
I know, but it is very hard for us because we rate on 9 activities, which, you'll see them in the annual plan, the annual report, and you'll see them in the conversation. There's 9 activities that we rate for, and then those activities have groupings below that. It's because it's just quite complicated to try and break that out, quite time consuming.
Would it be possible to have some sort of narrative that says these are the significant things that have happened in the last 3 months on roading in this ward? These are the significant things that have happened in parks and reserves.
Yeah, so the intention, and we're sort of feeling our way through that, and that was part of QP's gone now, but that was part of QP's visit, was to come to the board on a regular basis, not every meeting, but maybe 3 or 4 times a year, to say these are the events from a roading perspective that are occurring in your ward, that have occurred, that are to occur, and the same with the waters as well. These are the investments that are planned to occur. These are the projects that have concluded. So the intention is, going forward in the digitisation, is bringing relevant information to the board as part of this meeting, so that it might be a snapshot or a summary of the council papers, but the intention is exactly that.
That'd be fantastic, because for the ratepayer to get visibility of what's being done for them, if it's a consolidated report, it sort of means nothing, to them, as they can see the specifics to the board, that then they'll go, oh, that's why we pay our rates, that's why the rates go up, because we're doing all these things.
With regards to the homes that are required, is covered for that. Imagine there's an excess on the building insurance company. Yes. And so where is that being paid from? As a part, is it going to come out of these? So it just comes out of general. Okay, cool. So it does come out of valid reserves. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, this time it would, in 12 months' time, it would come out.
Are you allowed to be going?
The excess amount?
Yeah.
What is that? 10,000 dollars.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah. Well, not that big.
Who pays for the traffic times that do? Because Italy, they do very pricey. I agree with the price of about 18.
So it's only a presentation for the workshop. It's it comes out of the insurance, claim, activities that really it's paid out and then all of the remediation costs associated with it. Well, I think
I'm not sure that's road comes, it's traffic management is expensive.
Yeah.
And then as part of traffic management, it's a cost for the individual. I guess the thing with traffic management is I'm legally liable for injuries that occur on our roads. And I can be prosecuted and I can send it back. So I make sure we as an organisation, Hawkesbury Hogan and our contractors, comply with the law as it is today. And as it is today, we have to take all practical steps to reduce it.
Yeah, I was just wondering why it's so expensive.
Traffic management is expensive.
It's hugely expensive.
Because it's
Yes.
Okay.
Law needs to change.
Yes.
So we've just been asked to receive that report. There's no further questions to it. Thank you, Donna. And I move that we receive that report. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Carried.
Thanks, Donna. Sorry about the connection issues.
Thank you. Looking at the screen, the camera's up there. Right, the governance report.
That will work.
So we're talking about the community plan. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm here because you've hopefully noticed a small paragraph in the governance report about community plan. And we've already talked about it a little bit today, which is fantastic. I've got a very short PowerPoint, but the Teviot Valley Community Plan has been on the list of community plans to be updated for a very long time. The last one that we did was in 2011. Here's a copy on our website, but here's a hard copy of it. And so it's well overdue for an update. Community plans, just want to right from the get-go say they are not council documents. They're not about council activities. They're about bringing together the community's aspirations for the future and figuring out how to achieve them. So we facilitate the process, and we really feel like I'm a council employee, but I'm not there to push the council agenda. I'm there to facilitate the community boards into the process. As the people who have mentioned it already have indicated, we've brought on board Rebecca McElroy to help assist us with that process. I mean, Rebecca, with the two Rebeccas, will be the working side by side, and Paul is likely to join us at time to time as well to get out and about in the community. So far, we met with Norman and Mark earlier this week, and we went to Teviot Prospects night before last, just to give them an indication of this and to talk about the process with them. And some of the feedback we've had clearly already is that consultation overload that people are wary of coming up, and we want to avoid that. We want to avoid the trying with the long-term plan and all of the noise that, sorry, not the council stuff noise, all of the very important council business that's coming up. We don't want to burden the community with that. So we're probably going to take a bit of a slow approach to the public facing part of it, but what that does is gives us an opportunity to have probably more smaller, intimate conversations with all the existing groups that happen. So I haven't had a chance to debrief with Rebecca since we had the two meetings earlier this week, but once we do, we'll just figure out what that might look like. I've also got a copy of the most recent community plan we did, which is the Terrace Community Plan. So they've transformed from a document that looks like that to one that looks like this. So just so you want to have a look around. But again, it's the community voice. I have got a PowerPoint, but I'm not sure, just in the interest of time, I'm really sort of covering the main aspects of it. This is just talking about what a community plan is. And one of the things about having Rebecca on board is Rebecca had my role some time ago.
In fact, she came on board in that role right at the end of the process for that community plan. So she was part of the previous community plan and had seen the massive outcomes that have happened for the valley as a result of having a community plan. And the example she used, for instance, was the that community plan indicated the interest in pulling together a cycle trail. And so they got all the ducks lined up, got a feasibility study. So when the John Key government came in and had money for cycle trails, this trail was one of the first to be developed because the community plan had set the groundwork already, and the community could say, hey, we want this and we're ready to go. So that's some of the stuff that I'm seeing coming out of the Terrace community plan is fantastic. The conversations it's generated, the community's using it to lobby the Cromwell Community Board and Council. So it's really, it's about the community coming together to say, this is what we want. This is our collective hopes for this part. We're going to be right across the district, so we'll be Roxburgh, Ettrick, Millers Flat, not one for both Millers, but we'll get there. We want to involve, that's right, we want to involve young people, so Roxburgh School was on, and we had Hillary from Millers Flat School here at Teviot. She said, oh, and our school will be keen, so we're going to get out and about, but we're going to just slow down a little to avoid the council stuff and make sure that the community really does get a say. We've got the workshop coming up with the hall. We suspect that the hall will be a feature of the community plan workshops. How we weave that together, we'll work on that a bit. We'll discuss that in that workshop, but we're just aware that that's a massive issue for this part of the district at the minute and is likely to be at the forefront of people's minds as we go through this process. So we know that. The other thing I wanted to say was the spatial plan. So there's been a heap of work gone into the Teviot Valley spatial plan. I've seen all the feedback that was collated as part of that process too, Rebecca. So we've gone through it, read it. So we're not going back to the community saying, let's start from scratch. We're saying, hey, this is all the stuff you did as part of this. And build on it. So I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. One of the things I'd really love, the community plan process is an awesome process because we talk to people what you love about living in the place that you live. And so it really helps people be reminded of what incredible, how lucky we are to live in this glorious place. So it is a cool process. One of the things that I'd love is we've got a whole heap of photos of the valley and parts of the valley and of things in the valley, not a whole heap of people doing stuff in the valley that we can use. So there's a couple of examples in the Terrace community plan, for instance, of at the back of the Terrace Hall at the Anzac service, you know, so all the pets, so it's back to pets, not like a person's, that's the thing, it's, if people are going to be in it, we need to have their permission. So backs and heads and stuff are great, but people shots are fantastic. So if you guys have got people shots that we can use, we would love them. Yeah. Like I was just thinking, geez, I wish I didn't go to the AMP show this year. So that sort of thing, you know, those sorts of occasions we will set the summer party that we talked about before, Mark, those sorts of things to show vibrancy in the valley would be fantastic. So we'll be leaning on you guys for connections, advice on who to be involved, getting the message out, all of that stuff. Today was just about a heads up that this is happening, and it's exciting.
Cool.
Just a quick question, in the interest of tying it all together and recognising that our people's time is valuable in the Teviot, the community response plan for the Teviot Valley, is that underway for review as well at the moment?
I'm not part of the community response plan, but
no, but I just wondered if maybe there's the opportunity to tie in with some of that stuff.
Often a community response plan is an outcome of a community plan because, for instance, Terrace identified that they didn't have a community response. Same with Cromwell. So Bannockburn just in November, Bannockburn said, oh, actually, we want to develop a community response effort for, you know, to ensure we're prepared. Yeah, they're usually an outcome of a community.
I think some people are looking at it at the moment, and I only know because Shane on the radio asked me why the plan for Teviot had all the wrong radio frequencies in it, and it said the Maniatoto ones, and then we got to the bottom, it was because they had the Maniatoto plan to use as a template.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if everybody's working towards that, then could there be?
Oh, so we are, so
Collaboration.
I am in that group.
So you are actually, so what are
And yes, we're designing a brochure right now.
Yeah.
And it will have the correct radio stations in it, yes, for sure. Yeah.
And it might be, so I'm not sure how broad that spec is, so it might be for Roxburgh, it might be for the whole valley.
No, it's just for Roxburgh, because
Yeah.
Miller's Flat have got their own group.
Yeah.
And they've done a separate plan.
Yeah,
but
it'd just be good,
it's-
maybe
yeah.
some of that work could tie into this discussion and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It's me.
Anyone else got any questions?
I'll put your PowerPoint in the.
Oh, cool, thank you,
Thank you, Rebecca.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on. I'll just get my.
So just quickly running, on, has anyone, we'll do it by exception, the, status reports, has anyone got anything they want to discuss in those? I think most of them have been closed
All
off.
done now, yeah. Be clean.
Okay, so I move that the status report be accepted by the seconder, please.
I second it.
All those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Carry. Date of our next meeting is the Thursday, the 1st of May. It's time for us to have a break and we move into the workshop.
Close the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So David's going to join us online.
Yeah.
How long